How do I intro this?
Over the last 2 seasons, we've seen an unprecedented number of football players suffering from long-term injuries, especially cruciate ligament ruptures, more commonly known as ACLs, with the likes of Rodri, Carvajal, Neymar, Courtois, Militao and Gavi, just to name a few, all being confined to the treatment room for an extended period of time. However, as fans, we can often be quite naive about what players go through on their journey back to full fitness, and we arguably underestimate the difficulties they face. However, that being said, it is no secret that these footballers have access to world-class facilities, industry-leading professionals, as well as the opportunity to focus entirely on their injury. But what about the rest of us? Those that have been in the professional game and have been released, those who aspire to play professionally, or even those that simply just want to enjoy a five-side kickabout at golf with their mates. What does it actually mean to be injured? My name is Omarr Belhaj, and this is the ugly side of the beautiful game.
So, like I said, the reason I wanted to make this documentary was, to share my personal experiences, to share the experiences of others, some of the guys that I managed to have the journey with and share the journey with. Who've also done the ACLs and had long-term injuries as well. So, I think it's quite nice to give people an insight into just how difficult it is and just be as open and honest as possible. And hopefully, by showing people the realities of it, people can be a bit more conscious, man, of the jokes that they make and the jokes that they run, because it's not easy. It's far from easy. And it's arguably one of the most challenging and difficult things you'll go through as a human being, not just a footballer. You're starting from scratch, learning how to walk, learning how to run, learning how to jump, learning how to land, learning how to turn. Like, I've never thought about how I turned. And yet you have to go through that and learn how to move again, just as a normal person, and then learn how to move as a footballer. So hopefully people, with this insight can be a bit more conscious and just appreciate a bit more what people go through. I mean, I guess if we're going to talk about, non-professional players getting injured, I think it's only right to start with myself, patient zero. Yeah, I got injured on the 23rd of November 2022. I did my ACL and my meniscus as well. Funnily enough, I didn't find out until about 8 months later. So when I got injured, I went to A&E and they basically kicked me out with no crutches or anything. The cab driver had to wheel me in on a wheelchair to get me inside because I couldn't walk. And the woman told me to straighten my leg and walk, and I said, I can't do it. And yeah, so they just kicked me out, told me it wasn't significant, did an X-ray, and just said, off you pop. So about 8 months later, I went to FSCR and had a consultation with the physio Shaq, and he said to me, cool, we're just gonna get you an MRI scan. And so yeah, I paid around 300, I think it was £200, 350 for an MRI scan. And then Shaq called me and said, yeah, can you come in as soon as possible? As soon as he said that, I said, yeah, it's bad news, man, it's horrible news. So he called me in to the physio room, sat me down and said, listen mate, I hate to tell you, but you've ruptured your ACL and you've also damaged the meniscus. And me being me, I just started laughing because I thought, yep, you told me exactly what I knew already. Like, that sensation of feeling your knee pop and it moving like left and right, I've never felt that before in my life. I've never been injured, and sometimes you just know. And I knew, that wasn't normal. I thought, yep, cool. I'm cooked, man. I'm absolutely cooked. So yeah, so once Shaq told me and I had my laughing fit, I was like, what's next? And he was like, we can either do the NHS route or we can go private. And I said, cool, how long NHS? He said about 12 months. I said, yep, myth. I've already missed 8 months of football, there's no point. So I said, cool, let's go private. So he booked me in for an appointment with Dr. Sweetenham at, what's it called again? 40 Years Clinic. So yeah, I went to Sweetenham, he said, yeah, mate, listen, you need surgery ASAP, like your knee's cooked basically. Like if you want to return to sports at any level or even just run, you need to have the surgery, like it's important, otherwise you're done. So I said, cool man, let's get started. So yeah, they sent me some fees, can't lie, they tried to quote me 10 bags at the start. I said, yeah, you've lost your whole damn mind. 10 racks to run again. I said, impossible. So yeah, so managed to negotiate the cost down to £7,000, which is a lot of money, man. So literally within a week of getting my MRI and finding out that my knee's bust, I managed to get surgery. So I went in for surgery on the 11th of July. Within 2 days, so on the 13th of July, my birthday, funnily enough, I went in for my first session of physio, and that was the start of a long 11 months back to recovery. I mean, a lot of people ask, like, how was your mental? There was no mental. There was no mental health. It doesn't exist. I was in an absolute rut. And I feel like people don't necessarily understand that because they think, cool, you're just trying to get back to playing football. It wasn't even about football. It's about learning to walk again, learning to run, and then once you've done that, learning how to turn, to jump and land, pivot, all of those things before you can even touch a football. Like, I don't think people necessarily understand the scope of the injury. Like, you literally have to rebuild your knee. So yeah, man. So throughout this video, I'm going to be talking to some of the players that I've met at FSCR during my journey. Just chop up with them and them, see what they're saying, see how they found it. And I'm also going to talk to Dan and Dylan, the guys who founded FSCR, who've worked in football for God knows how many long. I mean, these lot are old, innit? So it makes sense. And just sort of get a professional insight on like their perspective on, you know, supporting players both physically and mentally, because it's not just a physical, it's a lot of mental strain, and it, you know, it takes its toll. So yeah, man, that's the hope, that's the aim. We'll see how it goes, and you lot will find out, innit?
Dan Bernardin, director, founder of FSCR. Previously been working in elite sport for the last 15 years. Olympic sprinting, started my career there, and then moved to West Ham for a couple of years as an S&C coach, and then to QPR as a strength and rehab specialist, and then head of performance. And then most recently, the last 2.5 years, been spent in FSCR building this.
Dylan Marna, co-founder. Been doing this now for nearly 8 years at this stage. Prior to that, way back when, failed footballer, Ireland, tried to make it, couldn't make it, next best thing was work. And so professionally, I moved to London in 2014. Worked at QPR alongside Dan for the best part of 10 years. And then for me, I've been in FSCR full-time now for nearly a year. So trying to grow this machine and try to give back in some ways.
When we were working in professional football for so long, what we found was it was always very difficult to give players individual attention when you're working with quite large squads, usually understaffed. So we wanted to provide something that could give players the help and support they need. And we didn't want to do that just for the professional player, we wanted to do that for every player, whether it be a semi-pro, academy or grassroots players. The concept is we take everything you do at a professional club, put it under one roof, and then make it available to all players. Our mission is to provide the best sports science and medicine support to all players all over the world.
We work a lot with semi-professionals. Some semi-pros, depending on where they play in the pyramid, it can mean that they don't earn any money if they're injured. Depending on their contract, if they don't play, they don't get paid. On top of that, in the semi-pro as well, the financial commitment to get rehab done properly is pretty difficult as well. Like you said, there is the NHS, but whether you want to go private, just for like scans, surgeries, you know, as you'll know, and then the treatment, like it is an expensive one, and you know, then you look at the youth, and there's different factors again. Of course, there's the football side, but there's also the life side of it as well, like the psychological strain it puts on you. And I think for a pro it's different, for a semi-pro it's different, male and female probably a little bit different, and then ultimately kids. Like, we've got a young boy at the minute, he's 12 years old, and how it affects him, yes, it's football, but it's summer, he can't play with his friends right now because he's doing his rehab. So just from a general life perspective, there's those characteristics, those factors if you like, whereas the pro, it's all about playing, appearing, contracts, that kind of stuff. Bless you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think so. What you've experienced that every time you come in, you'll check in with the physio, and we will then assess where you're at mentally. And if you're in a good mood, happy mood, we'll vibe with you. If you're a little bit down, we may ask you, "Are you okay? Is everything okay?" And then sometimes you just want to come in and get on with your work, and you get left alone. So that check-in is really important, and then in that check-in, we get to feel and see where you're at as a player. Sometimes when you're not in a good place, and then coming here can actually uplift you because you're around other people who are going through the same thing as you, and you've got a community that can help you get through stuff. So from a psychological point of view, I think that this is a great place to be if that's an issue.
I think from what we've seen in here and in our professional experience over the course of a long-term injury, there's a lot of informal touch points with a player where, you know, we're not qualified as psychologists, but it's a really important moment in that player's journey where saying the right thing or getting a feel for, like Dan said, where that player's at, whether it's a push or a pull, an arm around the shoulder or a little bit more of a sterner word. I think those kind of informal moments often happen off the cuff, if you like, or there's no one moment that defines it. And I think what we try and do here with our staff is just ultimately what we're trying to do is we're trying to support the player, we're for the player, that's our thing. So being there as much as we can from the start to the end, when you're in it, when you're going out of it, all that kind of stuff, I think that has a lasting impact on players when they come in here.
At the lower levels, I think the number of games people are playing is increasing. So I know that there's a lot of players that will play with 2 clubs, and that could be at the semi-pro level or even the youth level. So the number of games they're playing is increasing. And then with that, when you increase intensity and the number of games, the work you need to do to prepare your body for that is quite significant. So are players doing the right things off the pitch to prepare them for on the pitch? If they don't, then we're going to see an increase in injuries. The rehab is probably just as important, if not more important, than the actual surgery itself. Make sure that your rehab is geared towards you playing football and is specific for football and prepares you for football. And try and find a community that can help you with that. You know, you don't have to do it alone. I think it can be a very lonely and depressing time for a lot of players, and this is even at the professional level. So make sure you get good people around you and that support, but it's definitely out there now.
After discussing the pastoral aspects of recovery with Dan and Dylan, it was now time to sit down with the boys and learn more about their first-hand experiences.
Joseph Asare, 23 years old, suffered Achilles rupture, was out for 10 months.
My name is Jared Williams, I'm 20 years old. I suffered from an ACL injury and I've been out since November 2022.
My name is Omarr Williams, I'm 18 years old. I suffered a torn ACL and a fractured tibia, and I've been out for about a year.
Romy Akinola, 25. Done my patella tendon, was out for 2 years.
My name is Chinoy, I'm age 22. I have an osteochondral defect and I got injured in, I think it was June or July 2020.
Cameron Badabo, ruptured my ACL, been out now 8 months.
I suffered my injury playing the game, literally just pushing off. As soon as I dropped, I tried to get back up, I couldn't stand on it. And from like the physio's reactions, I knew it was a bad injury.
So I was playing a cup game against Ebbsfleet and someone slide tackled me in my knee, like the ball was just ahead, both 2 players running for it. A man flying slide tackled me, got me in my knee, and when it originally first happened, I knew yeah, this ain't normal, like this is ACL.
No, I was sad, like I was pissed. Like, I remember he told me, yeah, so I went to the hospital and yeah, it was a meeting, and I'm there thinking that I'm calm, like probably like a sprain. Can't be ACL because the tests, I've done the tests and they were all calm. And he's told me that ACL, I'm thinking, what? Like, you're violating. No way. And then I just leave the meeting now. I just emotions just come, like. Yeah, even remembering it now, yeah, I was thinking like, I want to leave school. I just focus on my injury because like, I just want to get back as soon as possible. So like, I just thought everything around me, yeah, just didn't exist anymore. And yeah, I just thought the world ended, literally.
Mine wasn't as extravagant as that. Mine was church football on Sunday. During the warm-up.
For me, it was devastating. I knew straight away. I didn't know what ACL was, but the feeling I had in my leg, I knew it wasn't good news, to be honest. And it was tough. Like in the moment when I came back, I got in my car and I was in tears. Honestly, I was in tears. I knew like the journey ahead was going to be a mental one. I knew I was going to miss out on basically a whole year of football, and like for me that's not what I needed in that moment. So it was honestly like it was devastating. Like I said, the world had ended for me at that time. Not much you couldn't have said anything to me there that probably wouldn't have made me feel any better. Like, you could have said anything. You could have given me £1 million right there. I probably would have threw it back in your face. Like, because it was hard, man.
I went through the PFA. Obviously, we have like if you've been a professional at least for a year, you have like a grant. So obviously they help you. That's a good thing. They help you out with stuff like that. If you're a free agent and you don't have a club, you can just go to them and they'll help you out with scans, physios, stuff like that. So
Yeah, same with me. Mine was partly PFA, and half of it I had to pay for myself just because of the amount that I used for the PFA, and they've got like a limit you can use. Mostly because I was out for so long, I ended up using that limit over the 2 years. So yeah, I had to pay half of it myself and half of it for the PFA.
After surgery is like you get stripped of your independence. Like it's hard to do normal things, like even going to the toilet, you're with a crutch and that. It's just it's long. Coming here, seeing the same faces, doing the same thing every day. It can get boring.
Showering, sitting down, bus, not being able to walk. Like even the way you sleep, like you have to sleep on your back. Like people don't know this, but I had a knee injury in it, so I have to elevate my knee when I sleep. So I can't like go on my side or rotate. And it may not sound like a big thing, but you know you just want to be comfortable when you sleep. And you're sleeping there like you're a vampire in a coffin, bro.
you have like that little period of where like obviously you're bedbound more or less, and you're feeling like why me in a sense. But after that like 2 weeks period when you can start walking and start maybe doing a little bit of stuff in the gym, is like go straight back to it. Like
It was tough. It was tough. You know, football is pretty much my life. So it's like being told to stay in bed for 2 weeks and stay off your body. It was tough, and it's like a thing where you've got to adjust to it and listen to the experts because they don't know what they're talking about. You know, so it's like it's hard to adapt to. I'll be honest, very hard.
Mental health didn't exist, bro.
It didn't exist, bro.
Mental health
It
didn't
did not
exist, bro.
bro. Oh my
Fam,
days.
was in the gutter, bro.
Up and down.
Not gonna lie, sleepless nights, bro. Like I would say for most of my surgery, for most of the rehab process, for like the whole year, for the last year, I would say only about 2 months ago when I started training properly, it improved.
Yeah, it's a roller coaster event. I can't lie. It's like at times it's in slow motion. Honestly, 1 week feels like a year. Then it's just on and on and on. And it's a thing where the tough times are really tough, and then you get little accomplishments, and they feel like the best thing in the world. Honestly, it's like just coming off my crutches for me was like a massive achievement, and it's like just getting little wins like that is what keeps you going. For me, that's what I felt like. But mentally, at times, it is very, very tough. It's like you're alone, to be honest. You have no control over what you can and can't do. You literally have to do what the rule book says, and the rule book says you can't play football. So it's a thing where it is very, very tough to see other people shining, playing football, doing what they love, whilst you have to go back and basically reset and go again.
I just distracted myself like Joseph with other things, family, building businesses, and the stuff that playing outside of football you wouldn't really think of, because you're always just thinking about football. You obviously come here every day, you're seeing different people, different things, so you can talk to them about other stuff that is not specifically football based, and specifically about your injury, and you can learn new stuff. So yeah, I think it's important to make sure you're locked in with your mental side as well.
I thought 2 weeks and I'd be good. So my mental health wasn't really affected. Then I ended up going uni, and I was like, rah, I'm actually not kicking ball right now. Man said I'm at uni. That's when my mental health it dropped, bro. Like, it dropped. Man ended up working at Amazon warehouse, bro, for Jeff Bezos. Oh, brother, you see that period of time, yeah, my mental health was in the gutter, bro. Me and God were having some deep conversations, bro. I had to ask, man, what am I doing here, bro?
Yeah, FSCR definitely played a massive part, because you come in every day, 5 days a week. I'm seeing Dan and Dylan more than I'm seeing my brothers sometimes. So it's like, yeah, you get that family sort of feeling.
Where for me, coming in, it was like seeing people ahead of me doing well, smiling, joking, but they have the same injury as me. It's a thing where it got me a bit more positive. Seeing them get wins, like me seeing Rom go back on pitch, for me is like a win for me, because honestly, seeing him have the same injury, it's a thing where, okay, 2 months now, that's going to be me, and we can have that conversation again. So it's like seeing people ahead of you, it's like a thing where it motivates you to keep going and going and going. So I can't complain, honestly. Everyone at FS is top guys. There's not one person that comes in and you think, oh, he's a bit dodgy, you know what I mean? Except for this guy here. The vibe here is just, it's brilliant, honestly. It really is.
Being injured, it can be a very lonely journey when you're doing it by yourself. But being here at FFCR, you have like a community feeling.
It's mad because now we've come out of this together, and it's like, bro, I saw you every day for like a year.
Basically.
Every day for like a year.
I don't think people take into account the risk, because from probably the ages of 8, probably even now, starting from even earlier, so probably from the ages of 5, 6 years old, in a sense you're being groomed to be this professional football player, so everything is fixated on football, whereas that can take a toll on your education as well. So if you do become a professional, say you do drop out the game at 22, 23 years old, you haven't gone to uni, you probably don't have no degree or no degree or qualification, so it's a thing of what do you do now?
You take sacrifices from the age of 8, 9, 10. It's like your parents have sacrificed things. They've missed work. They've done things. They've dropped you here, left, right. I've been all around London. I've been all around UK with my parents, and like I'm grateful for that. And that in itself is sacrifice. It's so tough not to try and live the normal life because you have to do the extra things to make it to the top. So it's a lot of sacrifice. It's tough, very tough.
Injuries have a massive effect on your career. That could be the difference between you being in probably the Championship or League 2, or you being in League 1 or Conference South. You got what I'm trying to say? Those 2 years maybe where you've been injured, that football goes on very quick and it's not a long career as well. So basically, if you are injured for a long period of time, it has an effect. So people have to take that into account as well.
I'll be real, without FFCR, I wouldn't have had the equipment I need. And even apart from FFCR, I still have to go work. Like, me playing football does not cover all my expenditures. Like, so people don't understand that you have to either work a 9 to 5 or do whatever you're doing and then go and play football. And that takes a lot of toll on you. You got work 9 AM, you got an away game, that's like 2 hours away. You get home at like 1 AM, but you got to wake up again and go back to work. It's crazy.
Just how hard it actually really is, because you won't actually understand with anything in life how difficult something is until you actually go through it or until you're told. So those are probably like the only 2 ways to learn. So when you're going through it, the players themselves, like all 3 of us here, we've experienced ourselves that it is a dark place, but when you have people around you that are with the right support system, right people, it can help bring you back up and make you stay focused on what your dream actually is.
There's just the little jokes like you said,
like, you've been out for 10
pro,
years,
yeah.
people saying you've been out for 10 years, like, oh, you're always injured, stuff like, oh, you said you were going to be back last month. Little things like that is like, they don't mean it with any sort of animosity, but it does affect you. Like, it does affect you because you want to be back. That's all you want to. You just want to be back. Like, but something's obviously been in my way of doing that. So, like, people just it's just like the jokes and stuff. Yeah, like, people don't really understand.
Brick by brick.
Yeah, literally
day by day, just tick it off as you're going off, and don't get distracted by someone else's progress.
Surround yourself with people that are on the same journey as you, and and
for
also try and find your purpose outside of football.
Pray. Ask God to guide you. And you know what is it? You can't be afraid of the challenge. You have to face it. Like, you have to face it straight on.
Set mini goals. It's a thing where you have to shorten each little journey to add up to a big journey. If you look from now until 9 months later, mate, you're going to be in for a hell of a ride. Because honestly, it does feel like it's in slow motion sometimes.
As I left FSCR with the weight of 20 months of injury off my shoulders, I began to reflect on what I've learned during this difficult journey. At the start of this documentary, I wanted to find out if my experience recovering from a long-term injury as a non-professional footballer was unique to me, or if this was a shared lived experience for others who've suffered a similar fate. Whilst filming this documentary, it has become evident to me that injuries are the biggest equalisers in football, and irrespective of what level you play at, the journey back to full health is a road riddled with obstacles. One of the biggest challenges players face is within themselves. The turbulence of mental health during recovery shouldn't be underestimated. and people outside of the game need to be more conscious of just how difficult it is for players to undergo such strenuous rehabilitation. I know firsthand how difficult it can be, and it was comforting to hear the boys echo my struggles. I hope this documentary has given you some insight into the challenges players face and encouraged you to be more sympathetic and thoughtful to those who undergo the long and lonely path back to the pitch. For those who may find themselves on a similar path to me, I encourage you to speak out in difficult times and remember that it will pass, no matter how slow it may feel.